What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker.
Amir, Rahimi.
And today on The Great Debaters, getting into some Geto Boys magnificent material. All right, Amir. So we're back here on The Great Debaters. Everybody, you know the routine. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. It's right down there and it's free. That enables us to keep coming to y'all as often as possible with as many interviews, episodes of The Great Debaters, and commentaries on the 1st and 15th as possible. So please hit that subscribe button. Right next to it is the join button. We've got several members already, but we need more. So please hit us there too if you can to support. And we're just excited that you're joining us here on Unique Access Entertainment. So thank you from Amir and myself as The Great Debaters. Now, Amir, we talk a lot about the Geto Boys and Scarface. Today, we're getting into the 5th Geto Boys album. Amazing that in 1993, a group would already have 5 albums, but of course they did. Till Death Do Us Part, the Geto Boys had so many different lineup changes, and Till Death Do Us Part is yet another lineup change with Big Mike joining the group and Willie D not being in the group. So, as you're getting used to understanding and listening to and getting this album, what were some of your early thoughts and reflections upon it?
Yeah, so this album is I was pretty much listening to their discography in order at this point. So to find out Willie D was not on the album was definitely different. I was not expecting that, and let me actually get into one of my picks real quick. So my first pick is No Nuts, No Glory. It's one of my picks, and that's a Big Mike solo track. So obviously up to this point in the album, we had a few songs. As No Nuts, No Glory is track 5. So we had Big Mike on a couple songs already up to this point in the album, but it didn't really hit me that, Big Mike replaced Willie D at that point for this album. It didn't really hit me like that because, the Geto Boys sometimes had features on some of their music, particularly this album, especially Bring It On, right? But anyways, I just thought like maybe it was a feature. I just wasn't really thinking. And when I saw the cover, I guess I didn't look at it close enough to realize that wasn't Willie D. So after I heard this, I was like, there's no Scarface on this song. There's no Bushwick on this song. I'm like, and context is important. I hadn't listened to the Convicts at this point in my listening.
Thankfully, you
time.
have now, and we've discussed the Convicts. There's the link right there for The Great Debaters. An amazing album, if you haven't heard it, of course, but yes.
Amazing and hilarious and all the above. So
ridiculous, too.
So I hadn't heard the Convicts album by that point, so I'm like, who is this guy? And then I look on the cover, I'm like, yeah, that's not Willie D. And then I see Bushwick standing next to him and Scarface over there, and I'm like, oh crap, this is not a lineup that consists of Willie D. So then I was like, okay, well, he's spitting hard, clearly, because that's one of my picks on the album. And I just love the statement by Big Mike coming out here like with his own solo track. And we had seen the Geto Boys, very interestingly enough, like one of my points on We Can't Be Stopped, which we also had reviewed,
right up there,
which Soren's gonna link up. That one, I remember, if I recall, it had something to the effect of like 3 solo tracks each group, and then like 3 skits, and then 3 group tracks. It was something to that effect. Don't quote me on that, but a lot of people had solo time to shine on it.
Yeah.
So the fact that Big Mike had his own solo track, he went hard. It didn't even really have a chorus. He just says No Nuts, No Glory, and then you hear just like dun 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 dun, and then it goes to the next, and then his second verse starts off with I heard someone call me the biggest bitch in Texas and blah blah whatever. And I'm like, dude, Big Mike is just spitting hard. I like the beat. I just think that he definitely deserved a solo track as others have solo tracks on the album. I'm like, yeah, Big Mike just executed well on this song. One of my picks, and it definitely shocked me the first time I heard it. That's for sure.
Well, not surprisingly, No Nuts, No Glory is one of my picks as well. Big Mike, I had heard the Convicts, so I was very familiar with Big Mike, and when I had heard and read and seen that he was replacing Willie D and the Geto Boys, I was disappointed in the sense that I really liked what Willie D did with the Geto Boys, and I had seen them perform, and I was just excited that the Geto Boys were getting more and more popular, but then to have him replaced was shocking. But then I was like, well, if they are going to replace him, the Big Mike dude from the Convicts is amazing. So I didn't mind it in that regard because I knew he was going to bring a Geto Boys-esque element to whatever this album was going to end up being. And No Guts, No Glory is a perfect example of that. And I think going from the Convicts, you could tell that practice of writing, that practice of making music and being in the studio and all that stuff now for a couple of years and being professional about it had really made a big difference. And No Nuts, No Glory is a prime example of that. I think just the production being so smooth and funky and obviously totally sample based, but man, I just thought it was amazing in the sense that he was really shining. And it was like Scarface is the man. One of the greatest of all time, one of the best rapper-producer combos ever, and. But for Big Mike to be able to step into this group right away and to make such an impact as he did with No Nuts, No Glory, I was just like, okay, Big Mike is putting it down. And then, unlike the Convicts, where it was so crazy and wild and profane, No Nuts, No Glory, and as I'm sure we talk about with the rest of Big Mike's performances throughout Till Death Do Us Part, it wasn't so overly reliant on shock value and on profanity and on X-rated type of rhymes. No, it was like he's really spitting street stuff, and it's like in a different way. It's a more mature, I thought, a more reflective, contemplative, and an examination of society that was, I thought, more articulated than just being wild as the Convicts was. So for all those reasons, I thought No Guts, No Glory, and in general Big Mike shines throughout Till Death Do Us Part, which I think makes it a phenomenal album, is his emergence as a star. And I think that's what we get. So that's my first pick. Amir, what's your second pick on Till Death Do Us Part?
So my second pick is going to be one of the singles, and that is 6 Feet Deep, cassette right here. Really, really, really great song. N.O. Joe on this one, and who produced. And man, this is one of those, I believe, 4-verse tracks. We got Scarface, we got Bushwick, we got Big Mike all on here. Another one, like we had just discussed with No Nuts, No Glory, didn't have a chorus. It just had like the do-do-do-do, just had that. 6 Feet Deep also does not have a chorus. So you're just getting straight verses. You're getting just more and more stuff that, especially with Scarface, you've heard in the past, these types of lyrics, these types of songs. And I really love how the Geto Boys on this track, and in previous tracks as well, how they're able to not only get you on the emotional level, but they're really able to touch your heart, make you think in a certain way, not only with what they're saying, but also with the instrumental. So I think it's a great group effort, not only from the lyricists, but also from, maybe Jay Prince with the vision, N.O. Joe, Mike Dean. They're all in the lab together, and they're making magic, in my opinion. And 6 Feet Deep is just one of those songs that is just excellent. Also, I think like with some of the singles like that you could choose from the album, I do think like 6 Feet Deep was a wise one. It obviously doesn't have like the appeal of maybe like a Mind Playing Tricks on Me as we had seen on their previous album, but I still think that it was worthy of like that single role, although maybe not as conventional. I don't know what the people thought when they heard it at that time, but I definitely like it, and it's my second pick.
6 Feet Deep's not one of my picks, but I thought it's one of my favorite songs on the album. I'm about to explain why the other ones I prefer more, but this one is yet again, as I was saying with No Guts, No Glory with Big Mike, it just shows all three of them, Scarface, Bushwick, and Big Mike, able to talk about people who had passed away and reflect and do this stuff and not be sensationalistic and without doing much, if any, profanity. Also, it's just a very, contemplative, reflective, rest in peace type of song. And for that, I just think it showed another dimension, because the Geto Boys, especially at this point, had really gotten into so much of controversy, and no pun intended with Willie D's album of the same name, but they had gotten into this groove of relying on this controversy and this wildness to promote themselves. And 6 Feet Deep, I thought, was a dramatic departure from that and showed why the Geto Boys were so powerful, because unlike the way they were perceived in the media, and even in my opinion in the rap media and the magazines, which I didn't think did a good job of covering the Geto Boys, they had a wide range of subject matter, and 6 Feet Deep illustrated that. And my next pick, For Death Do Us Part, is going to illustrate it even more. So for my second pick on Till Death Do Us Part, I'm going with Raise Up by Scarface.
Oh, wow.
Now this song I thought was great because it showed Scarface, as we've seen earlier in his career with his solo material and also with the Geto Boys. You know, these songs like City Under Siege, where they're talking about what's going on in society, what's going on with them, what's going on in Houston, what's going on in Texas. Raise Up, I thought, was a continuation and an extension of that, and Scarface really getting into political stuff, street stuff, but not on a just, oh, I'm going to come kill you or take out your crew type of thing. This is more reflecting things that are bigger societal and cultural systemic issues. And for that, I really loved, and Scarface is one of my favorite rappers. I did an amazing interview, you can check it out right there, with him, as I have many times over the years, because he's amazing. But I think it just shows Scarface's ability to really, you know, we see him do the crazy murderous stuff. We see him doing the dope stuff, talking about drugs. We see him talking about schizophrenia and depression and these different things. We see him collaborating with Tupac later. But on Raise Up, this song, man, you just see this political side of him that he does on a semi-regular basis, but I don't think he gets a lot of credit, shine, or acknowledgement for doing. And he does it brilliantly on Raise Up, in my opinion, which is why it's one of my picks. And I just think he's super powerful, and I've gotten to know Scarface over the years. I've talked to him several times. I've been with him in different states, hung out with him, and seen him perform in different states. So, you know, I really appreciate what he's brought to rap, and I think he's, you know, one of the all-time greats, top 5 on all categories. But Amir, that's my opinion. Before you get to your third pick, do you have anything to add on Raise Up?
I mean, I can't say more than what you just said. It's a great song, Scarface, and like we were just discussing, this is why it's very interesting when you have a group album where you have solo tracks,
right?
Just thrown in the middle, the end, the beginning. And I think Geto Boys did that a lot, and I just love how we still get those moments of just Scarface, just Bushwick, just Big Mike, and in previous albums, just Willie D. Love that. And it's very unique, and we'd seen like NWA do it too. We'd seen other groups do it, but I think the way Geto Boys did it was definitely more consistent.
Mm-hmm. And I think the good thing is tied into that is most often it's pretty seamless because it's in the flow of collaborative songs. It's in the flow of the rest of the mix, so it's not so striking.
Yeah. Until
afterwards, you're like, wait a minute, I didn't hear Bushwick or Scarface on this song, or I didn't hear Big Mike on this song, or I didn't hear Willie D back before this album. So anyway, that's that.
So my last pick is gonna be another solo song. It's gonna be "Street Life" by Scarface. On this album, and I was contemplating picking it and not picking it, not because the song isn't great, but because it was also on the South Central soundtrack, so I wasn't sure if I shouldn't, but I think the song is just very, very good, so I decided to include it. And yeah, man, I mean, just another song where Scarface is just being extremely relatable, and he's one of the most relatable rappers, and maybe it doesn't necessarily relate to me, but I know that it relates to the listeners, to a lot of people who live where he lives, to a lot of people who live across the United States and around the world. I think it's a very relatable song. And because of that, you know, you're able to kind of put yourself in someone else's shoes a little bit by the way that he's explaining things. And kind of like where we had also discussed, like when we were discussing The World Is Yours by Scarface, where he has like songs like Now I Feel Ya, and he's really he's trying to put you in his shoes, and how his mom had the impact on his life, how this person had impact on his life, and the street life is another way of really painting that. And then you get the excerpts. I haven't seen South Central, the movie, so I don't know if it's an excerpt from that movie or just something else.
It's been a long time I've seen it.
Yeah. So regardless, he has an excerpt from something, which I'm going to assume is the movie, but it might not be. And you just hear how that's also kind of putting in more for this thesis of his song, right? And kind of proving his points. So I just think it's great. I think the instrumental really captures what Scarface is trying to capture. It's perfect for this type of theme and lyricism. And I just think Scarface, once again, I mean, he's just a very real rapper, and he's not fluff.
Not at all.
He's not fluff. He's not fireworks. He's just telling you what the hell it is, and that's why I respect Scarface so much, and that's why he is, in my opinion, has to be like a top 5 artist or rapper. So, yeah, man, Street Life is one of mine. What's your last pick?
It's not Street Life, although I agree with everything you said, and it's one of my favorite, and I think amazing song. My other one is Straight Gangsterism. Now,
that was a close one.
For most of the people I knew that were like me listening to this album when it came out, for many people, including myself, this might be their favorite song or the best song on the album. Like, Big Mike on here, as he is throughout Till Death Do Us Part, is so amazing. And the thing that I think about Straight Gangsterism, I know Dr. Dre, Big Mike had told me, and you can check the link right there when I interviewed Big Mike, he had told me that Dr. Dre wanted that song for The Chronic. So that tells you right there how powerful, amazing, and ridiculous this song is. And that's the thing about Big Mike throughout Till Death Do Us Part. He's so amazing that when you can, regardless, like Amir and I are saying, Scarface is shining. Amir picked 2 of his solo songs. I picked 1. But the fact that he's really shining on a level of Scarface right out to most people right out the gate, because they might not be familiar with the Convicts, but for really to be able to come in right away and just be on par with Scarface, as he shows with Straight Gangsterism, as he shows with No Nuts of Glory, as he shows on the songs where they're all together, 6 Feet Deep, etc. Man, Big Mike put it down all the way down to the ground and beyond, man. So Straight Gangsterism is just so smooth and rough all at the same time, which is why I think it's so amazing. And his voice, this Big Mike right here, I think was at his peak and his apex, and then we get to his solo career. So it's amazing stuff, man. Straight Gangsterism. So, anything you want to add on that, Amir?
Straight Gangsterism was that the one with the music video?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was like a different, the thing that's annoying is it had a different, the song that was on the music video was different than the one that was on the album. So it's just another one of those where it's like, damn, then you have to hunt for the singles and get the video version versus the album version, and it's just like, I'm sure it was a nightmare for kids and adults in the 90s, but man, dude, so good. And that was like fighting to be, that was like the number 4. I was debating between that and Street Life, because Street Life technically was on the soundtrack, right. So I was like debating, but whatever. I'm happy you talked about it though anyways. Dope song.
Yeah, and I think it's just, this album is so good. I don't think it's one of the more discussed Geto Boys albums, just because We Can't Be Stopped was the best-selling Geto Boys album, the most controversial, has their biggest song of all time. And then Scarface, of course, had such a magnificent solo career that was preceded Till Death Do Us Part and still continues till today. So, and then Willie D, so many people love him within the Geto Boys, and Big Mike leaving rap a lot. There's just a lot going on with the members and what they did and didn't do around this time and soon thereafter. So that's why Amir and I wanted to really shout this album out, because it's so good, man. It's so good. So, as always, hit us in the comment section. Let us know what you guys think about our 3 picks. And we have different picks, which is, we got 2 different picks. So anytime that happens, I think it's always interesting, and it just shows the power and the thoroughness of Till Death Do Us Part. So hit us in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already. Please join Unique Access to become a member. I'm Soren Baker.
Amir, Rahimi.
Great debaters, y'all. And shout out to the Geto Boys and Rap A Lot for Till Death Do Us Part, man. Great album.
In the beginning, Hip-hop was ruled by the East Coast. Then the West Coast rose to prominence thanks to gangster rap.
Straight out of Compton, crazy motherfucker named Ice Cube.
Hip-hop changed the world. Gangster rap changed the narrative.
I'm representing for the gangsters all across the world.
And then changed the world again.
Cause I'll come and take your life away.
The history of gangster rap features unheard stories, unseen photos and documents, all with exclusive interviews from the founders and players who shaped gangster rap.
I think a real gangster rapper has to scare you a little bit.
The history of gangster rap written by veteran rap journalist Soren Baker. In stores now.
Yo, what up? This is DJ Quick. Be sure to pick up my homeboy Soren Baker's book, The History of Gangster Rap, if you really want to know what we do.